Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nintendo Fanboyz. And if my calculations are correct, I guess we should say Happy New Year, right?
I thought this could be on the 31st.
Well,
But
either way, Happy New Year, everybody. And Steven made me remember that our lovely podcast give on iTunes the minute they're ready, which is usually sometimes 3-4 days, sometimes even a week before they appear on YouTube. But they're on YouTube every second Sunday, so be sure to check them out. And I say iTunes, but it could be any podcast service, doesn't really matter. As long as you check up Nintendo Fanboyz, Canadian Gamers, or Project COE, you'll be sure to find us somewhere. So today is another episode, much like our last episode, where we're going to focus on Nintendo. But this time around, instead of looking at the year in review, we're actually going to be looking at the year ahead. So we're going to talk about our top 5 predictions for 2018 for all things Nintendo. Steven always comes up with ideas like this because he knows I hate coming up with lists and predictions and stuff. But they're fun to do. They really are. And Steven, sometimes he gets so specific and so crazy. And sometimes, you know what? His crazy ideas just might come true.
yeah,
So,
I'm
ahead,
really
go ahead.
hoping some of these come true, but maybe none of these will come true because you'll see they're pretty crazy. Well, one you could say is not that crazy, but the other ones are. And yeah, I love to make you do these things because, like I know, I always call you Switzerland because you're always neutral and you always agree with everyone, even when both have contradicting opinions, because you like to be like that. So I like to make you work a bit and go out of your comfort zone.
Which is perfectly fine. So I guess we'll do like we do with our top 10. One of us will read one, and the next one will read one, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
All right.
You want me to start or?
Oh, I don't care.
All right, so my first prediction I have here is that Nintendo will release a brand new F-Zero for the Switch in June. So I think they will. I think Nintendo has a pretty solid idea of what they need to do, and since, unlike Microsoft and Sony, since Nintendo can't rely as much on the third parties as the other big two can, they need to come out with a pretty much a one released every month, and that's. I think they did that pretty much the entire year last year for the Switch, and now since they probably won't have to worry about the 3DS for much longer, it might be a bit easier on them. And I think they know that they have some dormant IPs that really could make an impact and are not necessarily that difficult to make a new one. And I think F-Zero is one of those franchises that has been dying to come back, and I think they will launch it in June, and I think it will be a huge surprise for everybody when they announce it, and it will be a huge hit.
Well, I'll say this. If there was ever a chance that we're going to see a new F-Zero, it's now. And the reason why is because we already got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I really don't see a Mario Kart 9 coming out in the foreseeable future. I just don't see that. Especially considering how well Mario Kart 8 is doing, it would be kind of silly to release a follow-up to that within the next 2 years. I just don't see it. However, releasing an F-Zero gives them another racer, so fans could, if they want to try something a little different, there you go. And hardcore fans and longtime fans would eat that up because there hasn't been a new F-Zero in forever. I like that. That's a very good prediction. About the whole June thing, I'm not so sure about that. That's very specific, but I'm with you on that. I can see that. I can see that. Now, my first prediction is one that I want to be so true, but we'll see. And that is the fact that Dragon Quest 11, not 10, 11 will officially be shown and announced for Western release on the Nintendo Switch. However, all we're told is 2019 is the release date. I'm fairly confident that that's going to happen. And where could that happen? I think that would most likely come from something like a E3 Direct or something like that. I think it's going to be just one of these things that it's like, oh, Dragon Quest XI is indeed coming out on the Switch, but it's coming out in 2019. Because all we know right now is that Dragon Quest XI is coming out on the PS4. That's all we know. We don't know anything else. We don't know when. We don't know, we know absolutely bubkiss. So that's my number one. I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, it's a safe bet. It's also a bit of a cheating because you said it would be released in 2019, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah, but the announcement will be this year. That's what you'll see. That's a lot of the stuff that I'm going to do, actually. So I'm going to be doing lots of cheating.
Yeah, that's you.
That's me. Go ahead.
All right, so I thought you were going to say your number two.
Oh, okay. No. I'll go ahead. That's fine. So Metroid Prime 4 is going to come out next holiday season. There. How's that? I think we get our first real look at it at E3, and the surprise is that it will happen in 2018, which will shock and amaze you, me, and everyone else, because right now, all we've seen, literally, we haven't even seen a teaser. All we've seen is basically a logo. But I'm going to why not? I'm going to be bold and say that happens.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't think it's that close to releasing, but I could see that. And that I think that the approach of not showing gameplay or not showing much until the game is close to release is smart. And most developers are doing that now. Nintendo has been doing that this year. So I don't think there's any reason to show gameplay of Metroid 4 right now because you have Mario Odyssey out. You have other games that you want people to concentrate on, or you just want people to know that it's coming out eventually. And I don't think it'll be 2018, but we'll see. And I'll move ahead to my fourth prediction, actually, because since you're talking about the holiday release, I believe that the big holiday release for 2018 for the Switch will be Mario Maker 2. And I think it will be out on October, and probably during the same release date. The release window was Mario Odyssey, which was the 27th. So I'm not sure what that Friday of that week is in 2018. Maybe it's the 25th, maybe it's the 28th, I'm not sure, but it will be around that launch window. It will be Mario Maker 2, and Mario Maker was huge for the Wii U. I think putting this on the Switch will be even better. We'll have a larger audience, and it will be portable. So this game, I don't underestimate the impact this game will have when it is released. This will be a million seller on day one, and it will sell many copies, and it will move units. So I believe Mario Maker 2 is the big holiday release for the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, that would be very cool, man. That would be very, very cool. And we shall see. We shall see. I don't know. We'll see. It's not that I don't know. Because it's one of those games where it's like, it's coming, right? Like, know it's coming. They release it on the 3D, the 3DS. They release it on the Wii U. And I know it's coming, but I'm curious, like, what else could they do? Like, what's something else that they could do that would really spice it up? And yeah, that'd be cool, man. I'd be into that. Could do more videos of me dying constantly. It'd make you have a good laugh. Okay, so my third prediction. Wait a sec. Do you want to do two?
Yeah, that's my turn.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
I really can't wait to get back into that franchise. Cranberry has been telling me she's been trying some of my levels lately on her YouTube channel, and I'm dying to go back. So I want the game to be released. I was really, really disappointed with the 3DS version because they did not allow us to upload our levels online, which is the entire point of this series.
Yep.
So that was stupid. All right, my next prediction, which is my boldest, and I think the one we can have the most fun with, is I believe that in September, Nintendo will release the 3DS HD, and it will be a limited release, and will be a premium article. Like, it will not. Their goal here will not be to try and sell like another 10 million units. I think they will just try to release a niche item, and will be, because most people don't know this, but the 3DS games are all HD games. If you go and remove the source code and you play them in an emulator, they look absolutely fantastic. Like, I've Pokemon is incredible when people do this, and it looks just fantastic. I think Nintendo will release this system at a price point of $249.99, and like I said, it will be just a limited release. It will be a premium release, and it will just be trying to. They will announce this, and they will mention that the 3DS has a huge, fantastic library, which is true, and they will just try to. This will be for the hardcore. Like this would be something that I would buy in a second, and maybe some people who are not interested in 3DS because of its lower specs might be lured by an HD screen and the possibility to play all these games in HD. Obviously, it will be the new 3DS, so it will have the new GPU. I think they will diss the 3D, so it will be 2DS like the 2DS, but I think this is a real possibility because Nintendo, since the launch of the 3DS, have launched a new 3DS every year. We've had the 3DS XL, the new 3DS. We had the 2DS, the new 2DS XL. So there's always been every year a new rendition of the system, and I think next year they will do that one last time, and they will, like I said, will be a limited release for a niche audience and for a premium price of $249.99 US dollars, so 6,000 Canadian dollars.
Wow, man, that is bold. That is very, very bold. I don't know.
And did I mention that this will be released in September?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. I don't know. You're one crazy lunatic, apparently. I don't know. I did not know about the games. So that's interesting. If that's actually true, and all these games are HD to begin with, then yeah, I could see something like that certainly happening. I'm more interested to see if they're going to start talking about a successor to the 3DS. That's what I'm really curious about.
I think that's not happening anymore. Because I think they did not expect the Switch to be this successful. So they kind of released the Switch and had a successor to 3DS in there. Obviously, they have one in development because everybody has, even Microsoft and Sony. I just think that if the Switch would not have been successful, they would have tried another one. But now I think they're going to go ahead, and their Switch will be the only system they're going to concentrate on. And since it's portable, well, there you are. There you go.
Well, in that case, I mean, Nintendo likes hardware, right? So there's a reason why I don't predict. I'm not. This is not one of my predictions, but it's one of the reasons why, I'm sure there's going to be a Nintendo 64 Classic. I'm just sure of it because, again, like you say, I don't think. I mean, well, we know that they were completely caught off guard. That's why the NES Classic is going back into production. And why the SNES Classic is going to stick around is these systems are outselling the PS4 and Xbox One. You know what I mean? Like they're going to keep that line going. And with the 3DS, that really doesn't surprise me, It's just, I don't know if it's enough, that's the thing. I'm just not sure who that would cater to except for the really hardcore. Mind you, if the games look, significantly better, then maybe that's enough. You know what I mean? Maybe that's enough because if it's backwards compatible to DS and it's got all the bells and whistles of the 3DS, and you know what? Maybe you're on to something, man. Maybe you're on to something. Okay, so my third prediction is a very safe one. I think this is a no-brainer, and that's that Grand Theft Auto 5 will be hitting the Switch summer of 2018. I put summer and not a specific month, only because with these guys, I think it's really going to depend. If you've got F-Zero coming out, what did you say, June?
Yep.
Then, this could be a July, August, or even September release. But I assure you, you will get Grand Theft Auto 5 before the holiday season. I will be shocked if they leave that for holiday.
No, I could see that happening. Of course, it will all depend on. The only game they released so far is L.A. Noire, and that's not exactly the biggest franchise out there. So, not sure how the sales for that game are. But if Doom and if Wolfenstein 2 next year sells really well, I think Rockstar will look at this as an opportunity to re-release Grand Theft Auto 5, which is still charting to this day. So yeah, that's a pretty good prediction. I think that might happening, and if they partner up with Nintendo, that could be their big summer title too.
Yeah, I think I think that's like a no-brainer. I just can't see them not doing that. Considering the success of the Switch, how could you possibly ignore it? And given the framework of the Switch, it really wouldn't be hard to get like the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3 version running at the worst, right? Like at the absolute worst, get one of those ones running. It just gives you another platform to sell your game on, and people would buy that. Having Grand Theft Auto 5 on the go, oh hell yeah, people would certainly buy that.
Yeah, I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5 since the 360 version, and I love that game so much that if it comes out on the Switch, I'm rebuying that in an instant.
Yeah, I would rebuy that too. So it's my turn again, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, you know what? Because we're playing Pokemon, what the hell? Pokemon Switch is formally announced. We get a lovely trailer and this and that, and I'm going to break with convention and stuff. And what I mean by that is it will not come out next calendar year. That's my prediction right there, is that it's formally announced, and I don't think it'll be announced. I think it's going to be announced later in the year so that it can hit, like they can start to ramp up. Now, I know that goes against Pokemon convention, which is why I'm saying it. I'm trying to be bold here. I'm trying to be different. But I think we'll find out only about its existence in the sense of like, this is legit, like what we're working on will be much later in the year. It's not going to be at E3.
Do you think, did you mention a release date?
No, well, the release date, I know typically it's going to be towards the end of the year, but I'm going to say that to break with convention, that it will be released. Now, again, it's kind of stupid, but they'll start talking about it towards the second half of 2018 to be released in the first half of the following year. To
okay,
break
so you're saying Q1 2019?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
That's interesting.
It's crazy, I know.
Yeah. I almost wanted to talk about Pokemon Switch on here, but I just don't see it happening in 2018. I just don't. So, and again, I was under the impressions that we were going to talk about 2018 stuff, but you made your own rules, so that's fine. I don't think this will happen because when they announced this Pokemon game, they said that it's at least a year away. And I think by that, what they meant is that it's not coming out in 2018. And I think they're going to take their time with this. And usually what they do with Pokemon, like X and Y was a September release, Oras was an October release, and Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were both a November 18 and a November 17 release. So you see the pattern here. They're usually September, October, or November releases. So this is the Switch's next huge game. Like I think this will sell so many Switches, and it's going to be interesting because Game Freak and the Pokemon Company has always released these games in pairs. It's always been Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, Sun and Moon. So, and these games have always been like portable prices, so $40 or $50. Will they be able to pull off this strategy at $80? Will you be able to release, let's say, Pokemon fridge and Pokemon washing machine,
fridge and stove,
fridge and stove, like for $80? Will they be able to pull off that strategy? We'll see. I'm very curious to see about that.
Oh, you're so gonna buy both of them, even if they're 150.
For me, sure, but not everybody is me.
Well, I think there's more you than you realize. You crazy nut. All right. Is that it?
Yeah. So my next prediction is that since they just recently announced that Bayonetta 1 and 2 will be released in February for the Switch, I thought they would do something similar, and they will release a double pack of Super Mario 3D World and Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and it will launch in May. And the reason I believe both those games will be packed together is that Super Mario 3D World was really awesome, but not enough people played it because it was on the Wii U. And that game was when we first started getting those Captain Toad Treasure Tracker levels. So I think they will also pack in the full Captain Toad Treasure Tracker game, which was, in my opinion, the best Wii U game out there. So I think we're going to see both those games, and both those games are amazing, and I think it's a good opportunity to give them a second life.
I really hope that happens. I really, really, really hope that happens. That would be great because both those games are very good games. I didn't get as much into Captain Toad, as you did, but 3D World was phenomenal. So I think that would be very good if they bundled those together. That'd be actually awesome. I would love that. Get on that, Nintendo. It's actually your turn. Gosh, darn it,
man. Last prediction. And my last prediction is a Jarrod prediction. It's a bit vague. But I say that there will be a partnership with EA announced for a new sports title with exclusive Nintendo characters in it. And I predict that EA will finally bring over Madden, and it will be Madden 19, I guess, next year. Yeah, that will be it. So that's a vague prediction, but that's my prediction, and I think it will happen next year. And I think EA has to kind of redeem themselves for the year they've had in 2017, the bad press, and as Switch owner, like their FIFA game was really half-assed for the Switch, so they probably see the trend, see that they're not blind, that there's money to be made on the Switch, and I think they will bring Madden here, which is a huge franchise in North America.
There you go. That's my kind of prediction. I think that's realistic, though. I don't think that's they can't ignore this. This is the thing with sales. Like, you cannot ignore systems that sell well. It's just the way it is, and that is going to be my final prediction. Is that I believe that the Nintendo Switch will continue to be the number one selling platform next year, and that when all's said and done, it will be the highest selling system in 2018. There you go. That's your 2018 prediction.
So what kind of numbers are we looking at? Like I told you, be specific. Like,
that is specific.
Will it sell 20 million? Will it sell 30 million? Will it be at 50 million by the end of 2018? Come on. Be bold.
Fine. We'll say that it'll have a 20 million plus year.
So that will bring it at around 35.
Something like that, yeah. There you go.
All right. So next year, what we'll do in December is that we'll round up these predictions and we'll see who had the better prediction. Was it me or you? And since some of your predictions are 2019 predictions, you bastard, it will be hard to tell. So anything else you want to add before I move on to my blast from the past?
Yes, I just want to talk a little bit about the year as a whole. Okay, predictions aside, right? Nintendo is going in very strong, stronger than they have been since the Super Nintendo days. This is the first time since then where their system really is literally on fire. It's every month it's the top selling piece of hardware now, and it really shows no signs of stopping. It's really going to be critical that they keep bringing out the games. Like February, we have Bayonetta 1 and 2. I think that's brilliant. That gives them time to work on that Bayonetta 3. And like you said, there's a lot of games that were released on the Wii U that they could bring out, like even Smash. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, we want them to work on the next Smash. But there's a lot of stuff. Like, I'm really glad you mentioned about Captain Toad and about 3D World, because those are great games that deserve to be played. And there's a lot of other ones on the Wii U that I really hope get released. Like, I like what they did, Like, we got Pokken Tournament and we got, Mario Kart, right? There was nothing else that they brought over, right? Mm-hmm. And that's great. I really, really like that.
Well, technically Zelda, but...
Well, yeah, okay. So if I could... I'm going to leave that aside because it was day and date, Mm-hmm. But those two games, I kind of like that. I kind of like what they did there, where they didn't flood the market with... Wii U games. But I like the fact that there's enough Wii U games out there that they could pick and choose. Like, let's say they don't do the double feature, like you said. What if they just released, Super Mario 3D World just on its own, and just Super Mario 3D World Deluxe or something like that? That could be good enough to fit in between some of the slower months. And I really like that they have that kind of ability to do that, because we know that they're not going to have another Breath of the Wild in March. So let's say next year they release 3 instead of 2 games, or even 4 games or something like that. So long as they bring out like the stuff that you're talking about, like bring out a new F-Zero, bring out Metroid Prime, bring out a new Donkey Kong or whatever. If they continue to do that, I really think that Nintendo could just keep going and just really wreck face, as I say, because third parties, I'm sure you're going to see more and more and more third parties coming over. And what's so exciting about this is that as Microsoft and Sony continue to pump out these, breathtakingly spectacular and beautiful games, they know that, okay, you know what, maybe we can't necessarily do that on the Switch, but we can do something else. And if sales continue, I wouldn't be surprised to slowly start to see, an exclusive here, an exclusive there. And I'm really curious to see what is Capcom going to do with Monster Hunter, considering the just explosive sales of the Switch, especially in Japan. Like, I'm really wondering, they can't just leave the system with no Monster Hunter. They're going to have to do something. So I just wanted to say that, like, looking ahead for 2018, Nintendo's in a very good spot. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with their 3DS moving forward. What are they going to do with some of those teams and some of the resources? Is everything going to get shifted over to the Switch? And if it is, well, my goodness, then do you realize how much potential is there for great games? Because right now you'll have, games that were released on the 3DS at the same time as all those games that were released on the Switch. But if that's no longer going to happen and they're going to pool all their resources for one platform, man, this could be a very, very exciting time to be a Nintendo fan.
Yeah, indeed it is, and you resume my thoughts pretty well, so I'm just going to move on with my blast from the past, and you'll see a team here. It is F-Zero GX, which was the last console F-Zero released, and it was just freaking amazing, one of the best games ever. I think it was made by Sega, and it's just one of those games that I destroyed, and that game is hard. It's really, really not easy, especially if you try to do all the story missions. And it took me forever back then, but I did it, and I had a blast. And I think it's one of those games that I would play today, and I would get discouraged so easily because I suck at games now. So really curious to see what you thought of that game and if you played it back in the day.
Sure did. That was I was super stoked. That's one of the ones I imported, actually. I was a really, really big fan of that too. But
that had an arcade release too, right?
Yeah, it was part of the Tri-Ace. No, not Tri-Ace. It was the Triforce arcade board thingy that they had worked on with Sega. Excuse me. But yeah, that was a really sweet game, man. But I remember it being punishingly hard. So power to you for destroying it, because I sure as hell did not.
Yep, so thanks for doing this, guys, and thanks to Jarrod for clearing up his schedule for me for once. And we'll see you in the new year. Actually, we have a lot of pretty interesting plans for you guys next year, so hopefully you guys like this and give us comments and whatnots, and let us know what you'd like to see in 2018.